trying to catch up with mom. They're not holding back anymore, not like they were at the pan. They're now right on top of one another. Still quite boisterous. Male lion still making his way through the mess of cubs. Just 2 more cubs left. This one at the back is already showing behavior reminiscent of, or not reminiscent, but behavior similar to that they'll exhibit when they're older. This reluctance to want to be close to mom and on their own. Dangerous for a little cub to be left behind this far. The reason for that is that cubs that get left behind and are not secured get gobbled up by hyena and killed by leopard and wild dog very quickly. Sorry, Brian. Just want to make sure that he's not behind us. Okay. Big male lying there. Let's see if they give him some nonsense. They're fumbling Hansi. They're fumbling. Here comes a big female out the grass. Right, I just have to... Whoa, 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 what's going on here? Wow. That male's obviously, his irritation levels are at a super high at the moment for some other odd reason. We just had to force that female into a very submissive behavior there. So that happens sometimes when male lions are trying to... Thanks. Hello. That happens sometimes when male lions are trying to assert dominance, when they're feeling a little bit of pressure for whatever reason. And need to try and assert their dominance over the females. I'm not 100% sure exactly what elicited that. I wasn't looking at what that female did, but I think what she did was she came up too close behind him. Have a look at that. What you're looking at there is just dominance behavior. It looked like mating. It looked like an attempted covering. But it wasn't. It's just literally just lions just being lions. They are just ruled by this compulsion to dominate. Good morning. How are you? Good, thank you. Good, thank you. Hello, everybody. Good. So we are joined by Taxon and Aubrey in the sighting with us. What do you think they're going to do, Mr. Brown? You think they're going to cross that drainage line? I think they are heading down there. The one female, she's still in view there. She doesn't look like she's keen on following this male anywhere. Where to go? These females and the cubs are not going down into the drainage line. They're just staying on this little island. I'm actually just keen on just waiting right here just for a bit, just to see exactly what their plan is. So they got some of these cubs, they haven't gone down. I think this female's cubs, they're coming back to her now. As you saw from that male and female lion interaction, cubs can sometimes be caught in that general uproar and be given a smack unintentionally that does some damage, and it definitely isn't uncommon for male lion to kill cubs unintentionally, even their own ones. Okay, so she's now walking down there. Some lion action here. Brian, you think we can squeeze through that gap there? I think so. I'm going to give it a bash. Let's see if we can squeeze through that gap. Well, just bear with us. I'm going to try and do it as quietly as I can. For all as quiet as I can be in a 4,000-pound car. That seemed pretty painless. Alright, now what I don't want to do is drive straight at a lion. The headlights of this car resemble eyes, and with a male lion that's as edgy as what that one is, you don't want to intimidate them any more than what you have to. And I think this is close enough for these two cubs. I don't know where the rest of the lions are. I think they're lying in the shade. Yeah, they're lying in the shade just in front of us. You can see Mom in the distance there. This little cub. Isn't that face just fantastic? Still got this male lion growling, I think. Look at this little one. He's now going to come and chew the stick a bit. That mother's not wanting to nurse that little baby, and so he was just disciplined. Now he's moaning. Upset with love. At this stage their teeth have erupted, and it's actually quite painful for the mom to suckle. Quite often at this particular stage, female lions bleed from the cubs just chewing on them. I can see the babies are wanting, the youngest cubs are wanting to suckle now as well. So Jay Atkinson, you've just commented on that interaction that we saw between the male and the female lion, and you said that maybe it was because the female got too close to the cubs that was with the male, and that elicited that aggressive response. How do I feel about that? I don't think so. It's the cubs are really solely the responsibility of the females to look after, and it's usually the females that have this aggressive reaction to the male. Let's see if I can deduce what's happening here. Potentially what happened was the female didn't want to be separated from the cubs by the male, walked up behind the male, and maybe there was some subtle interaction there that I missed, and the female overstepped her boundary, and the male had to just assert his dominance over her. Not forgetting that the only reason why this male is tolerated around these females is is because he is more dominant than what they are. Female lions will only mate with the most dominant male in the area. There's no allegiance to that male, there's just a submission. So there's no allegiance to this male, in which case they don't owe this male a kingdom of such. And Nancy, you've just commented that maybe he wants her to stay clear of the female that he wants to mate with. Possibly. He may have thought that it was just there may have just been a misunderstanding there. He thought he was being snuck upon from behind. Very possible that that's a reason there, Nancy. Yeah, just a weird reaction there. I mean, why that male would choose to do something like that? I mean, it wasn't aggressive. If you remember, he was quite upright. He was trying to stand as tall as he could over her. That's just dominance. That's not an attack. I think what he did was he jumped at her. She immediately went into submissive behavior, which was lying on her side, exposing her belly and her flanks like she did, and being as low as what she can. That was a submissive behavior. I'm just going to have to make a little bit of space here so that Aubrey and Taxon can come in as well. We're going to have to squash a few vehicles in here. So I'm just going to move the car a little bit. They're lying in a place where we can literally only just see these three cubs. And you'll see, because of our careful nature around these cubs, we've got a vehicle approaching, and you will notice how little attention, firstly, the mother gives these cars, and that's the important one. And then secondly, but just as importantly, these cubs, the next generation of adult lions that we'll have in this area, grow up not fearing cars. And it's because we behave in a very, very respectful way to these lions. You can see that they are noticing a 3,000 pound or 4,000 pound car arriving, but they're not scared. Is that good? Yeah. I've just had Texan say that this is the only visual that he can see of these lions. They're lying literally on a bank that is almost inaccessible for vehicles. Now this time of year, as we've predicted would happen, the lions are literally camping next to these pans, and they're starting to do it because animals are getting desperate. They are literally moving kilometers between feeding areas and between watering points. And this Gallagher pan is just one of those fantastic watering points that just attracts a vast amount of game, in particular buffalo. And these Nkuhuma lions are buffalo specialists. They really know how to kill buffalo. And they're very good at it. And I think that is exactly why they are camping out at this pan. That male lion could do with a meal. His dewlap was hanging on the bottom of his belly. His hips were sticking out. He's not in bad shape, but he needs some food. And I'm sure that these females haven't killed anything substantial in the last 2 or 3 days. They could also do with some food. Do you want me to go forward a bit more, Tax? The female is lying under that quarry, and the male has gone off the edge there. Texan just shakes his head. Look, he doesn't know where these lions have gone. You'd never say there are 15 lions lying within 30 feet of where we are, just looking at these two cubs. And not 1 in 3 vehicles can actually see them. Or all of them, I should say. All right, and while this cub disappears here into the bush and gives us what would seem to be the last glance of these particular cats today, I think it's a good time to go to Brent for an update, and we'll see if we can reposition in the meantime.
What perfect timing. I was about to say we hadn't found anything, and then look what's in the road. Hello, Ellies. Oh, that little man looks like he might be full of mischief. Look at him holding his leg just off the ground, thinking about what to do next. Oh, are we going to charge? Wherever he puts that front foot down next is going to be a... Oh, you're a silly boy. There we go. Hello, Mom. Oh, what's the matter with you, Mom? It's okay. Good girl. Now you saw that little bit of movement from her. She wasn't too happy with our presence. And I thought she might give us a warning rev at one stage. Fortunately, she didn't. So I'm not going to move. Yeah, she started feeding, so that's better. But there was just that little bit of body language that said she wasn't too happy. I actually thought she might give us a, as I said, a charge as she crossed the road there. But fortunately she didn't. And there are going to be some quite stressed elephants in the drought, so you just have to be extra careful. Well, it seems like Elaine Cole, if you ask, you shall receive. So, you requested elephants and baby lions, and we've had both. Just move back a little bit. See, I'm just letting the engine run, not trying to surprise her, so she knows I'm going to move, she knows where I am. But I'm just going to, we might not stay here too long, I'm just going to judge her behavior a bit. You can see she is quite intently listening to us. It's okay. Okay, her tail's swinging again, she's okay. Oh, it looks like these Ellies all like to keep their foot dangling. Oh, excuse me. Oh. Hopefully it's not an attack of the sneezes. Sometimes I get sneezing attacks that I sneeze so much I have to stop the car, I can't drive. Oof. She's behind some bush there and she isn't too relaxed. Let me just move again a little bit. Pat, who's a new viewer, would like to know, how is there enough food for the elephants? Well, what happens now, which is actually quite good for the bush, they're forced to eat species that they wouldn't normally eat, like that weeping wattle she's eating at the moment. Sorry, excuse me 1 second, guys. Oh, there we go, there's a little one. And it looks like they're going to move off. So what happens in times of drought like this, they're forced to feed off plant species they would normally eat, like weeping wattles, oh, what you got? There we go. That's a weeping wattle right next to us. So under normal circumstance, they probably wouldn't feed too much of that, but they're also feeding quite a lot of monkey orange and terminalias, and that's stuff that they wouldn't normally feed off. So it is quite good for the bush. So because there's not a lot of nutrients in the other plants, they are diversifying their diet. Now what's this going to do is going to open up quite a few different areas, and when we do get rain, that means there's going to be more grass. So even though a lot of the animals are going to suffer now, in the long run the drought could be quite beneficial, which will increase our carrying capacity. So it's always better to have more grass than trees. Grass is more nutrient rich, and also more species focus primarily on grass as their food source. So for example, in normal rains in the summer months, 80% of an elephant's diet is in fact grass, not trees. So we are near the southern boundary now. I know Herbie seems to be tracking a mating pair of lions somewhere on Quarry Pan. So what we're going to do is, he's asked me to double check the southern boundary, see, fingers crossed, if Queen Karula has made her way back into our Travis area. On a very good note, and very good news, even though it might not sound like it, I think I'm definitely over the worst of my man flu, and it's been, I don't do well with flu. It seems to really hit me harder than malaria. I'd rather have malaria than flu. At least I know exactly how long since I take my tablets till the malaria is going to be gone. The flu is a bit of a conundrum to me, but definitely over the worst of it, so yay! Okay, so Kiwi Jane, who's a new viewer, is wondering what that is. That is a virtual reality rig. So it shoots video 360 degrees around us. If you want to have a look at one of those, I think if you go onto YouTube and type in Safari Live, the naughty elephant, but you need to do it on a mobile device, not on a desktop. And if you have a tablet or an iPhone or something like that, and you can have a look at everything around us. So you can see what the cameraman's doing, you can see what the elephant's doing. So it's a virtual reality rig. Okay, so now we are on the southern boundary, and I'm in search of tracks of Queen Karula and the cubs. Nicholas is wondering, when we are tracking animal paw prints on the ground, does each individual animal have a very different print? They probably do, but most of us, we can tell you it's a lion, a leopard, a wild dog, a hyena. For example, I know Karula's tracks very well because I've spent many hours on her tracks, and she's got particularly small tracks for a female leopard. And then when it comes to the male leopards, we can normally guess who it is just on where the area is. So they do have defined territories, but they do move out of those territories from time to time. But for example, if we find tracks of a female leopard and 2 cubs on this road, we're almost 100% certain that it is Karula. Now, that is exactly what we're hoping to find, paw prints of Queen Karula. Okay, so we're going to go very slowly down here. I'm going to have my eyes peeled to the ground. So while I do that, let's go see how Steph is doing.
Thanks, Brent. I'm doing fine, thank you. So is Brian. We're just reminiscing over this lion sighting. We've had to leave because a lot of people are wanting to see the lions, and we've had such a fantastic sighting so far that we made some space for another person to come in and have a look. For those of you who don't know about the sightings or the restrictions around sightings, we have a maximum of 3 vehicles in a sighting if the terrain permits. We can go down to 2 vehicles or 1 vehicle, even no vehicles. And then we cycle people through that 3 vehicle maximum, once again, as the sighting permits. So if animals move into a very thick block or into an area that's not safe to drive, then we can restrict that sighting. But for now, they're just still on that embankment. They didn't move. We heard the male growl and grumble a little bit just as we left, but they didn't change positions at all. And my gut feel tells me that similar to the last 3 or 4 days, or 5 or 6 days, I can't remember for how many consecutive days we've actually had the lions on this property, they might even camp out here for a little bit. Obviously, the presence of the lions will be a deterrent for a lot of animals, and with the actual amount of fresh water that is available in the Sabi Sands just through all the pumped pans, I've no doubt that the animals will start going to another dam, and then at some point the lions will be forced to move. But in a completely natural system, in an area where they don't pump pans, or have pans that are pumped very, very far apart, it's not uncommon for lions to spend weeks, 8, 9, 10 weeks around a single water source. I remember quite fondly a couple of years back me following a lion pride that literally camped out for 8 weeks around a drying up seep and would kill and eat right next to the water, and animals would walk a couple of feet away from the lions feeding on one of their friends to drink water and then move away. You know, necessity dictated that that's how they behave. It was just something really amazing to see. Alrighty, so what are we going to do for the rest of the morning? That is a good question. So Morally, you've just asked me why, if water is pumped to a pan, why don't green things sprout nearby? Morally, it's simply to do with the amount of feet that walk to that dam. Literally nothing gets given a chance to even sprout, and it gets trampled and stepped on. And compaction. With all the animals that come down to drink, they trample the area there to not quite a concrete, but much too hard for the sensitive plants to come through. Given time, weeds will break through. That's what they do. They break through that crust and aerate the soil and make it a lot easier for other plants to come in and colonize an area, basically. But right now, just too much traffic and too much compaction. That'll obviously change as the year wears on and we get some rain coming about and puddles forming in abstract areas where animals have now been forced to leave because there's just no fresh water. Puddles will form there, and because those areas still have a little bit of grazing left, hopefully they'll be the ones to recover first. So what happens here is it starts to rain and we have this mass exodus of animals. And I predict that although we've been very spoilt over the last couple of days, that's going to change towards December, January and February, where it becomes quite difficult to see large cats and animals here. Not only is it very, very thick, but just the general spreading out of animals across the entire park makes sightings few and far between. Andrew, all the way from Vermont, has asked me a question. What animal can tell when it's going to rain first? The easy answer, Andrew, is that us. We have the brain power to do it and all the computer modeling, and we don't even get it right with all of that. But I'm gathering you asked about what animal indicators do it. And then I'm going to say that the Birchall's kukul, for me, predicts up to a 70% chance of rain. So Birchall's kukul calling, they make this lovely wooding noise. I'm not even going to try and do that. Brent and James, it's their sole capacity to try and make funny animal noises. But they make a funny wooding noise, a repetitive wooding noise. And they are fine for me at least, are about 70% accurate. They can predict rain up to a 70% chance. And I'll quite often use it to predict rain. And of course, only being wrong 3 times out of every 10 times doesn't mean that you're always right, but it definitely gives me a sense of well-being. Commitment to my prediction, I suppose, is a better way of putting it. Bill, you just asked me, did my son like the yogurt spoon that I made him? And just for those of you who missed that particular show, I walked up to an apple leaf on a walk recently and broke off a piece of wood where elephant had damaged the tree. And during the course of the show, I carved a wooden spoon with my knife and then gifted it to my son as a yogurt spoon. He loves yogurt, and with these small little tubs, I thought that I'd give it to him. In all honesty, he took one look at it, said thank you, rubbed it on his lip like I asked him to, just to appreciate the amount of work and effort that I put into it, and then put it in his toy box, and since then hasn't even used it once. As far as I know, he may have this week used it. I told him it was for his yogurt. I'm hoping that he does use it at some point. He'll remember about it. And I'll give it a decent amount of time, and then I'll force him to use it, just so that it can be used for that yogurt. Remind me in a few weeks, I'll keep you updated as to exactly what the outcome was. I almost used it myself for some yogurt, and then I thought, no, I wouldn't do it. I'd leave it for him. It's his spoon. All right, I think I'm going to go past the Buffelshoek algae pond and see if that hippo has made it out there. And while I'm getting there, it would be a good time for Brent to give you an update about what he's been up to.
It looks like Ben might have spotted a leopard track. Hopefully it's not like his last leopard track, which was a hyena. Let's have a look. You got it, Ben? Well spotted, Ben. That is definitely a female leopard crossing in. Well done. Where did she go? So, there's the tracks there. Okay, that's going to be better to see than these ones on this side. I'm just going to have a quick look and try to judge their age, because of course Kruger's up and down and around and backwards and forwards often in these parts. There we go. It's her front foot there, the bigger one. It's her back foot. So what I'm looking for now is to see if there's any little bird tracks or insect tracks on top. Let's have a look over here. Hoop, hoop, hoop. Now there's people tracks here, and that's another good indicator of the freshness of the tracks. See if they're not my footprints, but someone's footprints. See if they've actually stepped over. It's going more this way. So the reason it's difficult to age tracks on a road like this is because it's a big access road. It means there's a lot of traffic up and down it. So it might look like the tracks aren't fresh because of the dust of a car speeding past. That's why I just want to see, okay, we go here, here. She just does go straight after all. Here we go. Okay. They weren't here yesterday, but whether Then she's crossed early in the night and then crossed back. And no sign of the cubs as well. Well, let's just double check because they often scutter about. Back just her. But it looks like early last night. I don't think it's very fresh from. Hello? This morning, hang on. That looked like a cub back. Again, on these roads, there's cars up and down, it's difficult. There's a cub track here as well. Okay, well let's head down towards Twin Dams and see if we pick up any tracks around there. Okay, we've got something to follow up on. Hi, Tasha Michelle. Tasha Michelle is wondering, can a baboon kill a leopard? Most certainly they can, especially a leopard cub. Baboon could probably kill Karula if a group of males gangs up, and a baboon has got canines that are longer than a male lion's. A bit. And it means completely relaxed. When they are not relaxed, they get a little stiffness to their tail. When they're very upset, their tail actually sort of sticks out and is completely rigid. Yum, yum, yum. Some dry combretum leaves for me. Here comes another one. I think there are going to be a lot of elephants around today. I've just got that feeling. Let's go back a little bit. Hello, little trouble. Hello, little monster. Oh, you're so big and scary and brave. Yes, off you walk. That lovely little female. Here comes the next one, Liam. Hello. Yes. Hello. I do love elephants. So this is how friendly elephants can get. Oh, yes. It's very scary. Now that head shake is just a reminder that they're big and strong. But again, looking at her body language, it's telling me that she's just more inquisitive. She's not very serious about doing us any harm. More worried about the stick in her mouth. Hey, give us a sniff. Here we go. Oh, sorry guys. Yeah, we're going to let these ellies move on, and we're going to go across to Steph, who's got some magnificent trafalagids at the Buffalo's Hook waterhole.
Welcome back. I do indeed have some trafalagids, or whatever Brent said there. Some kudu to us mere mortals. It seems to be a fairly large herd, actually. That's not a full-grown male, that's a youngster. He's still with his natal herd, i.e. with his mom. Impala have just gotten a fright from a monkey that's jumped into a tree, and that's what's caused that kudu to lift her tail like that. That fluffy under tail that you saw there was the following mechanism that a kudu's baby would follow if she had to dash into the bush. They follow that white blaze. You can see there's just a lot of impala and kudu and everything around here. Some of the kudu have got these muddy socks on them from having stood or walked out into the mud to get a mouthful of water at the Buffelshoek Hook wallow. It's not really a dam at the moment. It's just a big pit with some mud in the bottom. I think that's pretty much exactly what it is. I can't wait for this to be full of water. I think it's going to be the most beautiful sight, to be quite honest. Now, I think what gave those impala a fright, which in turn gave their kudu a fright, was a monkey, a vervet monkey, that is just sitting in the tree there, and I'm wanting to see if we can get a view of it. Let's go forward a little bit. Hi.
I've been watching your commentary when you pulled in. You were fantastic.
Thank you.
Living it at the moment.
I am.
I really enjoyed your commentary.
Thank you. Right, sorry about that. We just got distracted there by another vehicle that has happened to see me doing some fill-in work for James and Jamie along the weeks and paying me a compliment, which of course we have to say thank you to. It's nice being given compliments. All right, that monkey is in this tree. He's hiding. So I don't know. He's in the tree in the middle where you got him, Brian. Up on the left-hand side. There he goes. There. Whoa! Boom! Yeah, see, that was pretty good. This was, I'm sure, the monkey that we saw last night sitting in that tree enjoying the sunset. Yeah, see, how was that jump? Wow! Did you get that, Brian? That was easily a 9 or 12 foot drop from the tree onto the floor. That's incredible, actually. And now they're all moving off. I think the monkeys and the vervets have this sort of relationship with one another where the monkeys knock down leaves and seed pods from the trees, and the impala then come and feed off of that. Impala then also are super vigilant and allow the monkeys an added protection barrier, so it would give sort of pre-warning if there was a leopard or something around. So they help one another like that. It's called commensalism, is the term where one party helps and helps another party, and another part they help one another, where both parties benefit from the relationship with one another. They've all moved off into that thicket now. I can't actually see impala or monkeys. Once again, you'd never see, if you drove by here right now, you'd have driven past here thinking there was nothing here, and yet there's probably about 30 impala in there and at least 5 vervet monkeys. There, I can see an impala in the shadows there. Not much else. The rest of Buffelshoek is unfortunately virtually dry. The hippo has moved on, so he didn't get stuck. I don't quite know how I feel about that. I'm glad he didn't get stuck, let me just say that. Let's now go and see what birds come down here. So EPAC has just asked me what is the most endangered species we have in the area, and you're a new viewer. So firstly, I just want to welcome you to the Wild Earth family. Welcome to Safari Live, and welcome to the most epic safari vehicle on the planet as far as I'm concerned. So congratulations. Thank you very much for sending in your comment and your question. And now let me get to answering it. So the most endangered species of animal in South Africa is an animal called the golden mole, and the golden moles probably fill the first couple of positions on the most critically endangered. But because golden moles are not cute and cuddly, I think they don't hold such a fantastic place in our minds. And so one of the best examples of a patriot for endangered species is the African wild dog and the cheetah. Black rhinoceros would probably be the three that for me hold the top spots there. So the African wild dog, or the painted wolf, the cheetah and the black rhino are all sitting at just a couple of hundred individuals in South Africa alone, and probably not more than couple of thousand individuals worldwide today. And they are sort of the patriots, the pioneers of this, of these endangered species. All right, but Brent has got a bird, and before it flies away, I think go there and see what it is.
Oh, there's a beautiful little orange-breasted bushshrike hopping around. So we've come down into the Mawati to do a bit of birding, because the last time we went birding, we might up a bit, Vim. He hopped. Oh, there he is. Such a beautiful bird. A very distinct call. Birdie from Georgia says, yes, bird time. Yes, Birdie, I also enjoy a good bout of birding, and I'm really searching for this white-throated robin. Okay, well, let's keep moving. Now, this is a good time of the morning. It's warmed up a little bit. It's a great time in the morning to be birding around the Mawati. And, of course, it's not only the birds that are enjoying this part of the world at the moment. And look who's just walked into sight. Hello, big boy. Well, he keeps moving behind the bush. It's a nice big male Inyala. Now, we've seen Kudu with Steph. This is the second member of the truffle-legged family that we get here. Now, who knows, maybe we will even get all three, the third being my favorite antelope at Djuma, the bushbuck. Hey, mister. Love the little white chevron on his schnoz. There we go. Having a good scratch. I'm just trying to see if we can hear a crested barbet calling, but with that skulking little bushshrike around, I'm hoping the skulking white-throated robin is here too. Okay, let's keep cruising the Mawati riverbed. Now, Joey in Australia says he thinks he can see a Warburg's eagle on the Djuma cam. Can I give him a few ways to help identify? Okay, so with the Warburgs, Joey, quite often they have a little crest on their head that sticks out. I forgot my iPad this morning, but I think I'll have a picture on here. Another good way, Joey, is they've got a very straight tail. So it's a very straight, angular tail. And of course you get pale morphs and dark morphs of the Warburg's eagle. There we go. So there's a pale morph, but they often have that little crest. I'll just have a look if I got a picture of a dark morph. I don't have to turn it around here. So there's a dark morph. So it's pale, dark, and intermediate. So And again, I'm just trying to see if they've got, see what I say, a very square tail. Now, compared to the other eagles, they're quite small. So, it's very possible. I know James has seen one recently. Hopefully it's still there. We're going to cruise the Moati all the way towards the dam cam, but just while we've got our birders out here, on the, what have you got for him? On the ground. There we go. There we go, down there where my finger is. Some crested francolins. Fossicking about, looking for breakfast. Uh-oh. Oh, excuse me. Oh, what track's that there, man? Ah, it is a civet sneaking in the Moati. Now, this is another good spot for birds. Hi, William. William says a bunch of us guys sneak into his room to watch Safari live on YouTube. But if they ever get caught by the nurses in the nursing homes, they'll be in big trouble. So, William, I think what you should do if you ever get caught, just start whooping at the nurses like a hyena. Woo, whoop. I don't think the nurses will know what to do. Or you could roar at them like a male lion. All birds. Here we go. I thought we might get some nice little birds around here. Oh, don't fly. Is it our nemesis? It is not. And you've got him there, Vim. That's a difficult... yeah, you do. Well done, Vim. It is a robin, indeed, but not the robin I was looking for. I've been searching for the white-throated robin. This is the white-browed scrub robin. Come on, out from behind the stick, please. You're going to be famous now, little robin. Oh, here we go. Oh, now, a little flitting, skulking species, but a beautiful species nonetheless. Now, where's your cousin of a beautiful white-throated robin that I think I've only managed to get on camera once? So I got quite excited because they move quite similarly, the scrub robins and white-throated robins. But while we keep searching for the elusive white-throated robin, let's go across to Steph, who's got an animal that has two of the same colors as the robin, black and white. But before we do that, just going to give you a quick squiz through the gap at someone who's watching us. A big male giraffe peering down at us in the Moati River with an oxpecker between his horns, or between his ears and his horn. Oh, quite a few oxpeckers on him. Looks to be red-billed oxpeckers. It looks like that giraffe is just basking in the morning sun. Well, it looks like the black and white creatures with Steph have disappeared, so you're going to sit with us in this big male giraffe. Now look at that big bump on his forehead. Now, they've got a thickened skull around that area, and they do use their heads for fighting. You can see lots of scars, and they really swing those long necks and create quite a lot of momentum. There we go. So just sitting in the morning sun, looking down, and that's unfortunately what Vim will show you now. There's no way for us to get any closer to him as there's a large bank in our way. Now this is an old giraffe bull. You can see that by the darkening of his skin, as well as just all the scars and whatnot on his face, and that large protrusion. It looks like he's going to move along. Oh, hello, big man. And it's definitely one of the giraffe we see quite regularly around Djuma. And there he disappears into a thicket. So, let's go see how Steph's doing. Unfortunately, the striped donkeys have disappeared.
My striped donkeys have disappeared, thanks to Brent's brilliant giraffe finding skills. But we're on Cheetah Cut Line at the moment. It's just such a nice road. I quite enjoy coming down this road. I know Scott used to hate it because it was just so dead straight with nothing else to look at in front of him. But I quite enjoy this particular road. It's got beautiful sand for tracking on. And very often we find animals crisscrossing across here. So it's a good place to see what is entered and what is exited Djuma from Torchwood. And on the other side of Torchwood is, of course, the Kruger National Park. So it's always got this wild feel to it. Nice big marula tree. And we're also on a crest here, which is also nice. It adds an aspect. Here we've got a waterbuck and a calf. Fuzzy little waterbuck calf. We see these waterbuck quite often. Have a look at that baby looking over his shoulder at us. So James Richard, you just you've heard a story or read something that says that kudu are susceptible, highly susceptible to rabies, and you wanted to know, are there any other animals that are highly susceptible to rabies? Excuse me, rabies. Yes, there is lots of accounts of kudu having rabies or being rabid, but it's true for all the antelope. Kudu in just some areas are the most abundant antelope. And when a kudu has rabies, quite often they walk quite boldly into camps, which of course is unusual and what makes headlines. But almost any animal can catch rabies. You do have vectors for rabies. It tends to be small mammals that live in communities with one another. Bats are a vector for rabies. Mongoose are a vector for rabies. And a vector means they can carry it without them dying and then spread it. And they spread through contact with one another. Through saliva, in actual fact, saliva that breaks the skin. So quite often the rabies, I think it's a virus. I'm not too sure, I can't really remember. I think rabies is a virus, but it attacks the brain, causes the brain to overheat. And of course, when a brain overheats, it shorts out basically, and creates these behavioral changes. And in predators, it makes them quite snappy and overly aggressive, and they bite other things, and that then passes on the rabies virus. In this particular area, this is a rabies-prone area. We do get rabies here, so any antelope that we find that is unusually bold is to be treated as a rabies risk, and then obviously any predator that has unusually high aggression levels is also to be treated with much caution. Now, we had a huge rabies outbreak here last year, and it almost completely decimated the jackal population. Whereas before the rabies broke out in about June, July last year, we were hearing, actually it was before July, it was about May, June, we were hearing jackals at my house all the time. And literally from July to maybe May this year, I didn't hear another single jackal. It took that long for jackals to sort of recover, for new puppies born to the few jackal that survived this pandemic to then mature enough so that they started to call again. And I must be honest, it's something that I stress about all the time with my young boy who plays outside all day. But not worse than, I suppose, a bad education or not having food that day. Shamsung, you've asked if rabies could be contracted if an animal had to kill and eat a rabid animal. Shamsung, as far as I understand, the only way to contract rabies is through being bitten, so not ingested, but actually injected, and where there is saliva involved. So unless an animal was killed and in its dying managed to turn around and bite whatever was killing it, I don't think so. However, I have this niggle in the back of my memory that's telling me that if you eat the brain of an infected animal, you can actually pick up the virus. I don't have any reference material with me right now, Shamsung, to actually confirm rabies with you, to be honest. And I'm probably going to, for that reason, ask one of the viewers here, one of you, to help me with this so that I can help everybody else. And just to give a quick overview of rabies, how it's spread, and can you actually contract it through other means than being bitten and where you have saliva injected into you. That's my limited understanding of rabies. You're welcome, obviously, sending your questions via email through that questions@WildEarthTV email address or through the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. And if there's time and if we have an answer, I'll share it. Now this little water buck, you'd think that they get hot with that fur on, but in actual fact, that fur that they've got there is very oily, and it's designed solely to shed water off of their coats. Very similar to the tassels on a leather jacket, were designed to draw water away from the leather and to actually make it easier to dry leather off. The fur on a water buck, coupled with the oil that it secretes from its skin, then dries the skin of the water buck off and allows it to stay a bit warmer for a bit longer. Of course, out here, I think being dressed in a woolly blanket like that would be uncomfortable, to say the least, between October and April. This little water buck calf taking note of its surroundings. So Chloe, all the way from Illinois, hello, you've asked me what my favorite antelope is. Let me think, Chloe. The first one that comes to mind has to be sable. I mean, they're just so dramatically magnificent. And also because we don't see them that often. When you do see one, it's quite special. A large male kudu is also quite a magnificent being. Nyala, of course, I mean, we saturated with Nyala here, but in actual fact, if you think about how beautiful a Nyala bull is, it makes it hard to ignore. And then, of course, just the majesty of, say, a really big waterbuck bull with that huge muscles that they get and that erect posture with their big, robust horns. Let me see, which one of them are my favorite? Which one's yours, Brian?
I'd have to also say sable, to be honest.
So Brian, who's actually spent much time in the Kalahari where he was also saturated by sable, has this lingering feeling that for him, sable are the most magnificent. For me, I think the top spot is shared between a large male kudu and a sable. I would imagine, and probably an oryx. Oh, that's a three-way tie there. And I know we all hate ties. So oryx, large male kudu, or a sable. Those would be my three choices. Which one did you choose out of that? Still the sable, eh? Brian?
I would have to say sable simply because I've seen sable battling it out on foot. And
Ah.
it was absolutely phenomenal.
Brian's attached an emotional memory to his decision. He said that he's seen sable fighting on foot, and just that and their picture, their bodies, their physiology is what for him makes a sable the most impressive. I still remain undecided, to be honest. An oryx, sable, or greater kudu, all males, have to be my favorite out of all the antelope. Chloe, I hope that answers your question and makes it a bit easier. Or answer your question with a no answer and yak a lot. They moved off, and I think it's also time for us to move on and see what else we can find in the last few minutes of this magnificent safari. We've got a Burchell starling in the road in front of us. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer. I know we're wanting to send you over to Brent to see what he's been up to, but since Brent stole my zebra from me, I'm going to steal his update from him by showing you a Burchell starling that'll no doubt fly away. Burchell starling are insectivorous birds. They run around on those long legs of theirs looking for insects on the ground, and they have the most beautiful feathers. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer to him and see. Every now and again you'll get that iridescence that comes off his head. There he goes. Look at that. Ooh, that's pretty. Almost got that green sheen on the front of their shoulder. And then it goes to sort of a purpley color down their wings and on their bottoms, on their vents as it's called, on their bums, and then on their head. This one is just picking up termite after termite after termite, shoveling them in. Now from this angle the bird looks pitch black, and that's because its feathers are actually pitch black. They're covered in a thick layer of keratin, which allows for light to refract as it's going through the keratin layer, which gives them that iridescence, and different layers and thicknesses of keratin give them the different colors or the different refractions. Here he's turning now. We should be able to get that sheen. There we go. Lacks the orange eye of the blue-eared starling and is a little bit larger than the blue-eared starling. And just a magnificent family of birds, the starlings that occur here. We get the violet-backed starling that will come back in December, which for me is probably the most striking bird that arrives, is this violet-backed starling. That is nice. All right. And I think after that we are now at a point where we can go back to Brent and go and see what he's been up to in the last couple of minutes.
We're still on the birding mission. I've decided to come look to see if we can find that possible Wahlberg's eagle around the Djuma Dam. Have you got your eyes open, VM? Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm looking at all the prominent trees, especially the dead ones, because that's where large birds of prey normally like to sit. Hi, Steve. Steve's wondering, are there any birds that resemble crows or ravens in the area? Yes, Steve actually saw a pied crow yesterday flying overhead. So they are, and they are indigenous. We've got quite a few different crow or raven species in southern Africa. Now, I'm having a look carefully. I can't see this eagle just yet. I do see some other lovely birds around, so let's have a look. Some of them are flying. Just come on, fly closer to us. There we go, here they are. See them, Vim. I'm going to try and get us in a spot where I think they're going to fly very close to us. Okay, they might come around now. Oh, dwarf mongoose as well. Scuttling across the road. Well, let's move a bit forward, maybe we get a nice view of the mongoose. Hello, little horrors. It's all over here. Little dwarf mongoose scuttling about. That looks like a youngster. Oh, so there's an adult there. Now there are two youngsters I saw. There's one. Little busybodies foraging away. Oh, then there's a baby one quite close to us here on the edge of this. And there it is. Digging. What have you found? Oh, digging, digging, digging. Oh, got something. I'm sure they're quite happy that whatever the eagle was is not around anymore. Oh, hello guys. So I'm just going to chat to Herbie quickly. Standing by. Copy, I thought so. Thanks, Herb. Oh. See, something spooked them. Was it a shadow in the sky of a bird of prey? I think they got a fright from a go-away bird. Is that a go-away bird on top? It's very silhouetted there that just landed. And it pays to be overcautious when you're that size. There's quite a... I'll just move back a bit. There's quite a lot of activity happening around those ones there. Looks like they might even be marking territory. Look there, so lots of them there. All clustered around a spot. Smelling something intently on that branch. Oh, there we go. There's a scent mark. Yeah, so they're all scent marking. So all members of the family group will scent mark. And as you can see, it's quite a social affair, scent marking. So cute. They live in, oh there we go, using the anal gland, scent mark, scent mark. Well, there comes one of the little ones, about to hop in from the left. So a big scent marking display going on here. Now Andrew's wondering, have we ever seen meerkats here? Unfortunately not, Andrew, they don't occur here. We get dwarf mongoose, which is the ones we're looking at the moment, and banded mongoose, a slightly bigger species. Meerkats occur in the more arid south and western sections. There we go, there's a little one. But I do see some nice birds at the pan, so we'll leave the mongoose to their morning and go have a look. I think it was Joanne was wondering, do we get shoebills here? we don't at all, Joanne. The closest place. So I know a lot of you were lucky enough to see that serval on the Djuma cam. Joanne, I will be back with you in a second, but it's not often we get to see serval tracks. I think this is probably only the second time. The last time was on Bushwalk that I showed you serval tracks, and we actually tried to track that serval. We lost it after about 1 kilometer of following those tracks. Which is going to be easiest one of these, Vim? This one. So there we go. Beautiful serval track. You can see 1, 2, 3 lobes at the back. See, it's a slightly different shape to a leopard track. Now that is a back foot, and there's the slightly bigger front foot, and you can see it's wider as well. So cool. Why did they drink during the day when we can see them? But we have seen a few servals on the live drive, but it's definitely not one of the creatures we see too often. Sorry, Joanne. Joanne was wondering about shoe bulls. No, we don't get shoe bulls here. The closest shoe bulls to here are in northern Zambia, probably about 2,000 kilometers away, in the Benguelu area. I'm lucky enough, I've seen shoe bulls in Benguelu, and I've actually seen them in Uganda off Lake Victoria. Okay, now let's have a look. There were some birds drinking at the pan. I think they might have moved off. We got distracted by the mongoose and the serval tracks. Oh dear, looks like they've all flown away. Just have a quick look, you never know. And all the birds that I was coming on my way to see have disappeared. All we got is a blacksmith lapwing. Okay, I'm going to continue to look for more interesting birds before the end of the show. While we do that, let's go see what Steph's up to.
I'm up to driving down my favorite road here at Djuma, one of my favorite roads, let me put it to you this way. And I like it for 2 reasons. One is that the end of the road, or the bottom part of the road, snakes its way through some thick bush, and I like that sort of thing. There's always the chance of seeing some little small creepy thing, and secondly, it's because I have a nice memory attached to an elephant encounter I had here with Scott on foot. It was one of my first times that I was in front of the camera, and we ended up finding an elephant next to the road that we followed into the bush and found him on the edge of a drainage line here. And he then completely was oblivious of us, and then all of a sudden changed direction and walked straight up to us, and we had a bit of a stare down where I spoke nicely to him, and then he left us alone. He just wanted to come and see what we were and what the disturbance was, and he carried on with his day and we carried on with ours. But it was just, so it was a nice feeling, a nice sighting, no negative reactions whatsoever. And so yes, that I have a nice feeling generated around this road. So you're joining us going down the road, basically. So Bud and Bushmom have given us an answer on the rabies question that we had. So thank you firstly for helping me to expand my knowledge, and secondly for sharing all of this. So you've sent in 2 answers. One is it's transmitted. It's a virus that's transmitted through saliva, which we knew already. But secondly, it's also transmitted through the brain's membrane. So by ingesting the brain's membrane, you can actually contract rabies as well. So thank you very much for that. So 2 ways. The one that we knew fairly common, you need to be bitten by something that breaks the skin and injects saliva, but you can actually get it from ingesting the membrane of a brain. So it would make sense that a predator can get it. Then this is just to go right back to the original question. It'll make sense that a predator that catches an animal with rabies and eats its brain will also be able to get rabies without that animal having to bite it and injecting saliva, which is interesting, eh? Scary, these things, I'll tell you. These little viruses and things that run around here. So Birdie, all the way from Georgia, has just commented as well on the rabies thing, that one of her chickens killed and ate a rat once and didn't get rabies, and that's because birds apparently can't get rabies. I suppose it makes sense. Birds are not mammals, and they have a different physiology and a different chemistry, and perhaps the virus that is rabies can't survive with that particular chemistry. Makes 100% sense. Possibly, it's very possible. So thanks for that, Birdie. That's actually quite nice information. Yeah, we're in the thick part here. Susan, you've just asked if there's any attempt to control the rabies on the property. Not in the Kruger National Park. Rabies is just one of those things that just sort of is endemic to an area. It's not, you don't have mass breakouts here. You just have animals that are infected with it, similar to how rabies has been doing it for thousands upon 100,000s of years. It's an organism that lives in harmony with the animals around it. If it ended up killing everything, it would die itself, and so it doesn't. So while you do have quite intense breakouts in very localized areas, it's usually very short-lived, and things reset themselves in an area fairly quickly. So the question that you asked was, do we have any control measures here? And so no is the answer in the Kruger National Park. There's no control measures for rabies. Outside of the park, where people live and are more susceptible to being bitten by rabid dogs and by rabid animals, yes, there is action there. And it's usually an inoculation, first of animals. So South Africa does a free rabies inoculation for all pets. If you want your animal in a rabies area, the government actually pays to have your animals inoculated against rabies. You can be vaccinated against it. And then secondly, if it gets too bad, I have heard of schools inoculating kids against rabies, which you can do as well. You can inoculate people against rabies. In actual fact, as far as I know, I think Brent and Jamie are both inoculated against rabies. Brent, I seem to remember a series of injections Brent gave himself and Jamie last year when rabies was quite bad, or we had a breakout here. And he is immune to rabies at the moment, or should be at least. Actually, Brent is immune to most things, I think. So yes, there are actions taken outside of the game reserves, but inside the game reserves, no actions are taken. No actions are needed. Rabies is one of those things that is as negative as what it is as a disease. It's under the Kruger National Park's curatorship. They are here to make sure that all biodiversity is protected, not just the pretty ones. And although there's no massive conservation effort for rabies, it's not what I'm saying, there's also no need to try and stop it or to try and control it in any massive area. Alrighty, in the 4 minutes that's left of drive here, I just want to see how close this tree wisteria is to flowering. That might help us with our predictions to the weeping boerbean mystery. So the tree wisteria is that tree there. The tall one that you've got, there you go. That is a tree wisteria and should be coming out in these bunches of purple flowers in the next couple of weeks, and I'm just busy looking to see if I can see any flower drupes already hanging ready to open, and I see none on that particular tree. Not even one, in actual fact. So it would seem that we are still far away from having all the flowers, and it's just the knobthorns and some other acacias. I saw a fever tree in Djuma flowering yesterday, so it would just seem like the acacias are flowering early this year, nothing else. All right, we've reached that time of the day when myself and Brian have to bid you farewell. So wherever you are in the world, I hope that you have a fantastic day, or have had a fantastic day and have a fantastic night. Thank you once again for all your support and all your questions and comments, and we will see you this afternoon at 3 o'clock Central Africa time. Have a nice day.
We're just trying to find you 1 or 2 more birds before the end of the drive. I heard a nice bird, now I can't see it. It must have fluttered off. Okay. Well, lovely to spend some time with the Nkuhumas and cubs with Steph this morning. And unfortunately, the wild dogs were too quick for VM and I this morning. So I know it's a little bit, but at least I got to see them very early as I was on my way across. But no more birds, and the white-throated robin still continues to elude. Anna Marie says she's looking forward to Killer Bee Day tomorrow. Anna Marie, I think you're. What's the date today, Vim? Is it 26th or 27th today? Oh, so it is Killer Bee Day today. I've lost the day. I thought it was the. Oh, Vim. There it goes. 28th is Killer Bee Day, so it is tomorrow. Yes, I'm very excited for Killer Bee Day, and we've got lots and lots of fun in store for you. Now, where did that butterfly go? It has escaped us like all the birds. But it's going to be a very exciting sunset safari. Lots of different things to look for. And I'm sure the Nkuhumas are going to be around. And I just got a feeling there's going to be a lot of elephants around today. Keep an eye on the pans. I think it's going to get really hot today. I think those ellies are going to need that water. So I definitely keep an eye on the Djuma pan. And I'm really looking forward to spending some time with Eddies. And you never know, Queen Karula might move through during the day after that traumatic experience with baboons yesterday. So hopefully she decides Djuma is a safer spot. And I don't think those Nkuhumas ate last night, so there could be a hunt on the cards this evening as well. So lots to look forward to. And VM and I are going to say goodbye and see you in a few hours for the sunset safari.